back to the Millennium Beat. I'm your host, Kevin James. Glad that you stopped in. On today's show, I have Jerry West. Jerry West has been a friend of mine for almost 20-something years. It's a good interview, and we'll get into that in a few seconds. But I want to remind you guys to check out our new website. It'll be coming out sometime, I would say, middle of April of 2023. So check it out. But first, a word from our sponsor.
I would like to thank McLeod Painting Group of Vero Beach, Florida for sponsoring this week's show. They specialize in interior and exterior painting. They are licensed and insured with over 45 years of experience, expanding over 3 generations. Give them a call at 772-501-0324 and tell them that Kevin James sent you. Again, that number is 772-501-0324.
Thanks for sticking around. If you'd like to know more about how to become a sponsor, please email me at kevinjames@themillenniumbee.com. And I will fill you in on how to become a sponsor. You can also go to our website at www.tmb2000.net or themillenniumbee.com. So let's get into the message, but first, let's have a brief 60-second intro.
Hey, everybody, you have reached and you have stopped by on the Millennium Beat with your host, Kevin James. I'm your host, Kevin James. I'm on the phone with Jerry West. He's been a friend of mine. Jerry, how long have we been friends? How many years?
Gosh, 22 years?
Yeah,
I think.
Because
it goes back to the WTCE.
Channel 21.
Channel 21, TVN in Fort Pierce. We moved to Vero Beach from Dallas, Texas in August of 2020. 2000. And I think it was September or October that I made my first guest appearance on the channel.
Praise the Lord, Joe. So it's been about 97 is 25 years. So if you said 2000, so it's 7, 8, 9, 10, that's 3 years. So somewhere around 21, 22 years. So it's been a while. The thing I always say this, and I remember this the most, is, and you probably remember it, the date. You had some you had fundraising for some money, for some things that you were going through at that time. And you were being pushed in a wheelchair by, I think, your wife, if I remember right. Yeah. And I'll be honest with you, and I've said this before, and I think I've said it to you, is I thought that was the last time I would ever see you again, because you were very skinny, and you got over. In the last interviews we've done, you told your story about being with the Power Team and Strike Force, and you were a good sized boy. I mean, you weren't fat, but you were muscly. You were. I
wasn't skinny. But that wasn't skinny either.
No, but that time when you were in that wheelchair and your IV, I think if I remember right, I can see it in my mind. So I had an IV drip or something like that, if I remember right. Could be. It's been a long time.
No, thankfully I did not have to have that. I didn't have an IV drip.
Okay.
I probably needed one then, but no, it's that's that part of my. I want to say life, but I was going to say that moment in time.
Mm-hmm.
Things were kind of hazy because of all the medications that I had to take.
Right.
I tell the doctors when I have to go for a checkup or whatever, especially with new doctors now where I'm at, I said, you're looking at someone who grew up in the 70s, went to school all through the 70s and graduated in 1980, not 1880, but 1980, and never did a drug.
Right.
I never touched, come at me with a needle. It was, I'd turn around the other way. As far as snorting something up my nose, that made absolutely zero sense.
Yeah.
Stick a needle in my arm on purpose? No, thank you. I'll be honest. I'll tell people I'm very, very bluntly honest. I tried pot
Right.
a few times, and I say a few, probably about 3 or 4 times. But growing up in Vero Beach, where everything closes at 10 o'clock,
Right.
There was nothing open, and I told a friend. He's like, "Oh, dude, man, I'm tripping." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm hungry, and there's nothing open. Let's go get." I went to 7-Eleven. We're going to a 7-Eleven. There wasn't even anything on the rollers.
Oh. No, wasn't Denny's open at that time? I mean, I remember it was near Blockbuster.
I'm sure that.
Yeah, on US
sure
1.
It was, on US 1. I'm sure it was, but I just went back to my friend's house and just sat there. I just raided the cabinet looking. I said, if this is what it does for you, I'm hungry all the time. I don't need this.
Right. That's crazy. Yeah, I never have tried it. I never really hung around the crowds that would even offer it to me.
Well, I did. I just made better choices. I decided as an athlete, I'm just not going to put my body through that stuff.
Right.
I'm just not going to do it. It's not worth it. I watched my best friend at the time in the 9th grade. He was, had to have been in the springtime when you don't wear a long sleeve shirt in Florida.
Right.
And he was wearing a long sleeve shirt. So it had to be. And I'm just, it's not that I'm senile, just there's been a lot of
Hey, I don't remember sometimes yesterday, and I'm definitely not senile.
But he had these nasty, nasty looking sores on his arms.
Ooh.
And he said, "Oh man, it's some kind of rash." I'm like, "Well, you're 14, 15 years old. You're not that smart. You think you are, and you're not."
Right.
But about a week or 2 later, he had dropped out of school. Turns out he had he was a heroin addict.
Oh, wow.
And, amazing thing is, and I'm going to have to mute my phone just for a second, and we will talk about why I have to mute my phone. But the amazing thing is, he found me on Facebook about a year ago. And I'm looking, is this the same guy? Cleaned his life up, turned his life around, was married. His wife died about 5 years ago. Went into the hospital, never came out. Kind of one of those deals. He's, I believe, remarried, 2 boys, and I think a couple of grandkids. So, that's the great thing. But a lot of those guys in that era of using drugs didn't make it out alive.
Right.
But they died of drug overdoses, or their mental capacity was just shot. Kevin, I decided that was a path that I was not going to go down. I didn't want to. I didn't feel. I felt pressured, but I did not. It's not for me.
Right.
I'm just not going to do it, and I didn't. So.
Right, which is a very good thing. I mean, I guess this is a lot of paths that people. Well, actually, 3 of them that you can think of. Either they become drug addicts, sex addicts, or drinking. They're drinking themselves. So it's like those three paths, and so it's you chose not to go down any of those paths. So far,
No. Well, I did drink for a long time. I drank enough alcohol to float a battleship.
oh wow. So I guess you did go down one of those little paths.
Well, that's the great deception. I can control this one. The other, I saw people out of control, staggering around, falling down, and I was told what they were using. But alcohol, I can take a few sips, I can take a few drinks, I can set it down and walk away. Well, not everybody can. I fortunately have that temperament that if I'm done, I'm done. And when I was done, I was done. I just did not didn't have that lean or proclivity to just keep drinking and drinking and drinking and drinking until wind up choking on my own vomit or dying of alcohol poisoning or becoming an alcoholic. I just did not. It didn't look. I'm just one of those guys. If it doesn't add value, I don't want it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds to me as like some people drink to put themselves out of misery, what they've ever hurt or some pain, and they drink to get rid of that. It didn't sound like you drank for that reason. You drank. It sounds like you were a social drinker. You knew when, you knew what you wanted. When you're done, you're done. I mean, it's like some people with food. They eat and then they stop. They're not addicted to food. You weren't addicted in the sense to alcohol, trying to get rid of something, and because that's what people do is they will drink and drink and drink until the problem is not there anymore. Well, it's still there, but they don't see it because they're drunk. Mm-hmm. But you weren't like that. It sounds like.
No, it's still there. You just wake up the next morning, the problem is worse. That just wasn't. That was not my aim. Was to play professional football or baseball, or to be a rock star. It's never too late to be what you wanted to be. Well, according to the NFL and the Major League Baseball, it is.
I think, yeah, right. I think you're past your prime on that case.
I passed my prime on that one.
Now, you could still be a rock star.
Yeah, well, the jury's still out on that one.
On that one. Because I saw some of these guys, I mean, they're in their 70s. Oh, what was it? I just saw a picture of Ringo Starr, and he's in his 80s now or something like that?
82, and he's still on the road.
Yeah, I saw a video of him playing the drums. 82 years old.
82 years old, still on the road, still playing the drums. Just God bless him. Hey, if you can keep it up, go.
Yeah,
keep going.
Right. It's some of us, the younger people, can't even do that.
Good Lord, no. But yeah, that going back to the wheelchair. Yeah, I just I think it was on. I think we did another show where I talked about that the doctors had given me 3 months to live, and if he makes it 3 months, he's got 3 years at the absolute most. Well, here we are coming up on next year. Next year will be 18 years of diagnosis. And I'm still here now. Where are those doctors at now? I told the doctor, I said, God has the final say so, and she was like, okay, whatever. She keeps writing. I said, no. I said, he has the final say so.
Right.
I just choose to believe, and unfortunately, several friends who have different types of cancer. No two cancers are going to be the same.
Right.
Who did not make it, but they got the ultimate healing.
Right.
They're in heaven. I just didn't want to go to heaven yet.
Right. God still had more stuff to do. Not that he didn't have stuff for the other people to do. Because like we were talking before the show, that my friend Fawn, who I've done 7 interviews with, she had cancer and she only had a year left, just like you. And then she lived 3 years and basically almost to the date that they said she was originally going to die 3 years ago. Then she passed away just recently. But she got a lot done in that time. She got 3 books published. and she was working on the fourth one. When I did the interview with her, I says, well, you got a lot to do. You can't go anywhere because she's writing a 365-day devotional. And I go, what day are you on? She goes, day one. I just finished day one. I says, okay. And then 20 days later, she unfortunately, or fortunate, depending on how you look at it, decided to go home, pass on to the afterlife. And, sickness is weird. As Christians, there's no formula. I mean, it's just the strangest thing. Some people are healed, some people aren't. Some people are delayed, some people aren't delayed. I mean, it is the craziest thing. But you're right. When it's your time to go, God He knows your time, and
exactly.
And then you go. I mean, and you're in a much better place. There's no pain. I've heard rumors. They say you're going to be like 30 years old when you get to heaven. You're going to be like in the shape of your 30. And I go, hey, I like that. I was skinny, good looking. I had hair. It's just, I'll take a 30-year-old body forever, forever and ever and ever.
Absolutely.
I'll go for that.
I will not turn that one down.
I would say, I was not my skinniest, but when I first moved to Florida, I was 30. And I've been here almost, actually, in 2024, it will be 30 years. Have been, and actually, technically, at that time, I will have lived in Florida longer than I lived in Massachusetts. I'm on the other side of the hill, and that's what happens when you get older, right? You just get it.
Exactly.
You get aged when you get old.
Well, you need to learn the art of adaptation, adapt to your not just surroundings, but adapt to changes in life.
Right.
I just turned 60 in September. The big 60. And it's so. In this past September, a lot of good things happened in 62 and 63. My doctors here in the Nashville area, and it's not an ego thing. It's just I feel like I am past 60 physically because of the damage that I've done through feats of strength and all that crazy stuff over the years. But my doctors here say, you don't look it.
Okay.
So what is she, my oncologist? Unfortunately, I still have to see one because they have to do blood work and all that fun stuff. And I have a cardiologist I've had I've had one for 3 years. I didn't think I would add that one to my list of resume, but they all say, you don't look your age. What do you do that's different? And I said, well, a lot of it is diet, exercise. I don't have to weigh 240 or 250 pounds anymore. Eat very lean. I don't want to say it because if I say it wrong, and it's going to tick people off, so I'm just going to say it anyway. We're not vegans. Vegan is not a lifestyle; it's a political statement. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. If it gets edited, it gets edited. Well, I'm not going to wear those leather pants. I'll wear synthetic leather. Well, honey, you're wearing stuff that can cause cancer. The chemicals in the synthetic leather. I've got 2 pairs of leather pants. I'll still wear them. I have a leather jacket. I have snakeskin boots. If I want to wear leather, we eat plant-based. It's not vegan.
Right.
My wife does not eat meat at all anymore. She hasn't in over a year. I probably about 80% there as far as meatless.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been proven to help your joints, which God knows I needed it and still need it. But that's what I tell the doctors. I said, we changed our whole lifestyle as far as the way we do things and eat and different things. And and I feel better because of it. Do I have more energy? Some days. Some days are Some days are better than others. But, in ministry, particularly, ministers have a higher rate of physical problems. And the number one physical problem is heart disease,
Okay.
because they don't eat the way they should.
Right.
They eat everything that's put in front of them. And I have a very close friend of mine that's a pastor. I said, there's nothing wrong with the word no.
Right.
And I've said it. And I've said it for many years. I said, I'm very polite about it. I said, I'm sorry, but I can't eat that. It's just not part of my, overall lifestyle that's going to help me live a long time.
Right.
My wife said, do you ever get tired of saying that? I said, sometimes, but it's a message that needs to be taught, not shoved down somebody's throat. Do I enjoy a piece of fried chicken every once in a while? Oh, absolutely, but it's not an everyday thing.
Right.
I need to be around for the long haul. I need to be, a mentor, whatever. I mean, whatever title you want to put with it. But I need to be around long enough that I can make the impact that I know that I'm supposed to make. And you can't do it with the doctor cutting your chest open to reroute all the bad plumbing.
Right.
And I hope somebody that's listening will get this. If the doctor has told you, watch what you eat, you really should. My dad was the worst. My dad collapsed in church when I was 16. Me and my uncle drug him out of the back door into the car to the hospital. His blood sugar went crazy. He was diabetic. Was not genetic. It's just adult onset diabetes. His bad dietary choices. And Dad goes home after they stabilize his blood sugar. What does he do? He's sitting in front of the TV set, watching a football game, and ate a pumpkin pie. I'm like, way to go, Dad.
The whole thing?
And he's like, well, what? Yeah, he ate the whole thing.
Oh, wow.
He said, oh, what does he know? I said, yeah, he just went to college most of his life to learn how to save your life.
Right.
God gave us doctors. Jesus traveled with one. He was not a disciple. He was not an apostle. He was a physician. His name was Luke.
Yep.
In fact, he was so good that there's a book dedicated to him in the Bible. He was a physician. So watch your diet. Watch what you eat. If you have a sedentary lifestyle, get up and move around. My kids bought me an Apple Watch for my birthday, and it tells me when to get up, and I tell it, shut up, you don't tell me what to do. But it's a reminder. You need to stand up. You need to move around, because ministry, you can get you can get sedentary. But we just decided we're going to be around for the long haul. We had to make some changes. Since we talked last, we made changes. We left after 5 years being in Atlanta, Georgia. We came to the Nashville area. Not that I'm here to write songs or sing. You really don't want that.
Right.
My daughter and her husband live here, along with my grandkids. And we really just wanted to be closer to them. We got tired of the 4 or 5 hour drive every few weeks. My son and his wife are looking at moving probably a couple of hours east of here in Tennessee. I've always liked this area. I've always wanted to live here for some reason. I don't know why, but my pastor in Lawrenceville, is where we live in the Atlanta area, had told me, and we've been friends for now almost 19 years, and he had told me, he said, when I saw you with your grandkids, they came down to our church for Vacation Bible School. He said the Lord told him, they're going to be leaving, and they need to be there with their grandchildren to pour in, speak into their lives, another voice into their life. And Manny had told me that. and we're still friends. We were at their house for 4 days last week in the Atlanta area. They invited us down for their leadership Christmas party. They said, "No, you're still part of us. You're still part of the leadership."
Right.
So we were there for 4 days last week and took care of some board meeting stuff. And my wife had to go to the corporate office where she works, because the corporate office is in Duluth, Georgia, which is all part of the metro Atlanta area. But it was, it was nice seeing that, when you make that change in life, and we did, it was a big, another shift for us, that people that, you knew for 5 years, that we still make an impact in their life. That's what the gospel is for.
Right.
It's to make an impact. It's to make a shift, a paradigm shift in the way that you think. You didn't think at 30 the way you think now at 50. None of your business years old, Kevin. Some people look. I'm not sure. Look, I made it to 60. Some people don't think it. I don't think the same way at 60 the way I did at 30.
Right.
And I've been in ministry for 33, almost 34 years.
Wow.
I don't think the same way at 60 as I did at 25. It's called evolutionary thinking.
Right.
Now it's not Darwinism. It's evolution. Things change.
Right. Well, it's also the way we look at things. I mean, we look at things differently. It's like scripture. You could read a scripture 10 years ago, and then now you look at it and you go, I've read that 10 years ago. I've been reading that off and on and never seen that. But now I see something different. It's because your life is different. Your perception is different.
It's a paradigm shift. And, we all have those, in the church world, we have ways of saying things or ways of doing things. But the bottom line is, if you don't change your thinking, nothing changes.
Right.
Your walk with the Lord does not change. Nothing will change until you decide to change. It's shifting how you think. And I was fortunate enough to, many years ago, to sit down and have breakfast with a man that I just absolutely loved and admired, Zig Ziglar.
Oh, yeah.
Now, some people have no idea who he is. Google the name Zig Ziglar. And I spent about 3 hours with him.
Oh, wow.
And, of course, he was infamous for saying, way back then, you got to get rid of stinking thinking.
Right. I remember that. Yeah. We used to read him and listen to him back in the Amway days, back in the 80s.
Oh, gosh, yes. And I was never part of Amway, but I know he did a lot of speaking then.
Right.
But, you've got to change the way that if you take a shower in the morning, you got to take a shower in your mind. You got to change the way you think.
Right.
You got to change the way you approach things. I hear pastors, you got to wash your mind with the power of the Word. Well, that is true. It is true. If you take a shower, and you should, wash your mind with the Word. I'm certainly not mocking. Well, I am mocking. I grew up in the church. I'm a pastor's grandson. That's what we do. We're really good at that. You either turn people on or turn people off by the way that you say things.
Right.
But anyway, we made the transition to here. And as far as what we're doing now, it's kind of relaunching because the pandemic really it messed things up for not just for churches, but it messed things up for traveling ministries. I mean, my ministry was completely shut down because of what we do in ministry. It's not just go around, teach and preach. I don't jump in a car and, I'm very strategic on where I go.
Mm-hmm.
And of course that shuts everything down. A lot of my friends that were evangelists, they really felt the pinch. But we started doing some things differently. I started recording devos, which you can find them on my YouTube channel. A lot of those, and our church was recording devos. We were doing a lot of technical stuff to keep reaching people. We had an online campus, which my wife and I we handled that. We were the online campus pastors. And then once the pandemic restrictions lifted, the church, Discover Life Church in Lawrenceville, Georgia, still has a strong online campus. We did not, my wife and I did not need to do that, but then we were recording, I think I've recorded, I can't count now, 15, and then it went down to about 7-8 minute devos. And a lot of those you can find on my YouTube channel, YouTube at Jerry West TV. It's not they said, well, it sounds narcissistic. No, it sounds like I can remember that.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's funny how you say that. I was getting ready to put, I'm putting a sign on the back of my coach, and it's going to be the Millennium Beat. And I wanted people to be able to look up, and let's say, okay, how can I find the podcast? So when I was talking to a guy who was kind of like a business advisor, you go, first of all, he didn't like Millennium because he couldn't spell it. And I can understand that. Because it's like Massachusetts, M-A-S-S-I, or Mississippi, Millennium, and he go, millennial? No, I'm not a millennial. It's a millennium. It's 1,000-year reign. It's millennium, M-I-L-L-E-N-N-I-U-M. And he said, that's too long. That's too long. So right now, my new web address, Millennium still works. You can still type in the millenniumbeat.com or millenniumbeat.com, but now it's TMB 2000. That's so easy to remember.
That's why I chose Jerry West TV.
Yeah, it's just very simple. It's right to the point. I could I don't even have to write that down on the paper that's in front of me because Jerry West, I know who you are, and just TV. Okay, that's all one thing. So it's easy.
Yeah, if I can remember it, most people can remember it.
Yeah, that's an important thing. If you want people to look you up, you want to be able to easily say, check out jerrywesttv.com. or .org or .net or.
Well, and on YouTube, it's at Jerry, because they changed. That's the cool thing. Yeah, they changed it. They did that YouTube /at Jerry West TV, and so they shortened it, and it made it a lot easier for people to remember or to oh yeah, I heard about that. It's like with Facebook when they changed it.
Mm-hmm.
You can find us on Facebook at Facebook.com, and then there's /JWMINTL.
Mm-hmm.
And that went through. I'm like, okay, we're going to keep that one. So people can connect with us on Facebook. But, that's part of the change.
Mm-hmm.
If you would have told me at 30 years old, there's going to be a major shift. There's going to be a thing called the internet. I'm like, the inner what?
Hey, right.
In 1992, there was no internet, not that we knew of.
No. Well, there was a little bit because I work in the busing business in Massachusetts, and I did that in about 88, 89. And we did have internet, but all it was basically maybe a chat, if I can. But all I remember is like getting a weather report, like a weather app, and that was it. That was in the 80s. And it's even the cell phones. My first cell phone was in 88, 89. It was a bag phone from Tandy from Radio Shack, $400 something.
I had it. Yep, I had an in-car unit, which was very similar to the bag, the old bag phone. And in 1980, 89, I bought it in-car, had it put in. It was like $500.
Right.
And the bill back then was outrageous.
Oh yeah.
Because of roaming charge. But we lived in Orlando. My wife was pregnant, and I didn't want to pager because you got to get off the road, get off of I-4 to find a phone.
Oh,
no,
God.
thank you. Oh, no. I said, I'll pay the money, bought the phone, and it came in very handy. But, that was I mean, that was kind of cutting edge. You got a car, you got a phone in your car.
Oh, yeah. The neat experience was I was in Boston at Logan Airport, and I was talking to a friend outside of, she was in Arlington, Texas. I'm sitting just waiting for the group, and I'm sitting in a bus with my phone talking to somebody in Texas. And the ironic thing is after you could only call, it was like free, like from like 8 to 8 o'clock in the morning or something like that. You had to wait to a certain time to use your phone because otherwise you'd be charged $1 million a minute, you know.
I mean, some of them, it was just gotten outrageous. But, you know, now, I mean, it's taken the place of a home phone. And, you know, if you don't keep up with change, change will pass you by.
Right.
And then you'll miss your moments. I embrace technology. I embrace the fact that I'm on Instagram and Twitter. Yes, I'm on Twitter. You may not like what I have to say politically, but I am on Twitter. On Facebook, I have 2 different channels, or I guess you still call it channels.
Yeah.
On Facebook for our ministry and YouTube, because, you know, with what I do as far as being an evangelistic ministry, especially with what we do.
Right.
And you have to embrace it.
Right.
Like with our drama, and I think you were there the night that it was only supposed to take 15 minutes, and 3 hours later, we still haven't finished it. Walking up and down the stairs at the studio in Fort Pierce.
Yep.
In 7-inch platform shoes and 30 pounds of armor. But the thing that happened was with our drama, and you can go on my YouTube channel. There's clips of the drama on there. It makes an impact in people's lives, and we're relaunching that in 2023 because we were forced to pull it off the road, because of restrictions and everything. But now that foolishness is over, yes, I've gotten all 4 shots. I've been boosted. I've gotten flu shots. I do a flu shot every year, just out of the abundance of caution and precautions. It's my choice. I chose to do the COVID vaccine,
right?
Because I really didn't want to deal with COVID. It's a real problem. But if you have a solution to the problem, why not use the solution?
Right.
It didn't cost me my relationship with the Lord. It's not caused me to lose 1 minute of sleep. I'll be honest, I've not lost 1 ounce of sleep over deciding to take that first shot a couple of years ago.
Right.
But I'm saying that to say this. It is going to enable me not to have that in the back of my mind. Look, I've gotten the shots. I'm good. Let's move forward. We've rewritten again the drama.
Okay.
Where it's going to make a bigger impact than it's ever made before.
Right.
Lord gave me a word. We were actually on our way here to Nashville in early July. My granddaughter's birthday is in early July. And we were on our way here. We were driving up and just hit the outskirts of Chattanooga. And everybody goes through those, do I really want to do this anymore kind of moments. Everybody does. I don't care what line of business you're in, whether it's ministry or secular. I was really just questioning whether, do I just want to just kind of semi-retire, do some conferences here and there, and just not do what I used to do. And as we made that turn where you go down on highway, it's on 70 or 75 splits into Highway 24. There's a humongous curve that goes down the mountain, really. the Holy Spirit said, I'm not done with you. Okay. Awesome. It's good to know. That's good to know. And it sounds like I'm being sarcastic, but sometimes that's my conversations with God.
Right.
Like, really? Yeah, really? It's like that does not catch him by surprise. He goes, I'm not through with you. I said, okay. He says, you're about to turn 60. This is in July. My birthday is in September. I heard very clearly twice. Usually takes God twice to speak to me because I'm a little stubborn.
Or I say thick-headed, you know.
Yeah, that too. And he said, I want you for the next 5 years to win 1 million people for me.
Wow.
Excuse, I just inside because my wife knows I'm crazy. But I'm thinking on the inside, I'm going, excuse me, rewrite, redo, rebrand, redo everything.
Wow.
And that's exactly the wording, redo everything. And when we got here, I got my laptop out and I started changing some things. And I told my wife, I said, I'm going to be 60 in September. She laughed. She goes, yeah, I know you're starting, with the jokes between husband and wife.
Right.
And I said, the Holy Spirit told me to go after 1 million souls between 60 and 65. And she just looks at me when she goes, are you serious? I said, yes. She said, well, if he said it, you better do it.
Mm.
It's not one of those, ask him again. Some people will do that. She said, if he did say it, you better do it. And she's not denying that was not said.
Mm.
So, Kevin, what I've done, I've rewritten the script, added some things, changed some things. I'm not going to give any spoiler alerts away.
Okay.
But we're recostuming. I've got to have a new costume because the other one is just, 12, 13 years old now. And it's the guy who repaired it for me in Dallas. I said, Jerry, this is probably the last repair job I can do for you to make it look good. He goes, you really need a new one.
Mm.
And directed me to a guy in Canada. And this guy has done work for, good Lord, I mean, his client list is incredible.
Wow.
He said, oh, yeah. He said, oh, absolutely. Told him what I was doing. And he said, I'm still, Canada at that point was still dealing with some restrictions.
Right.
And now that restrictions are done. But he said, yeah, I can build this for you. And he gave me the price tag of almost $4,000.
Okay.
And he said, this is built just for you. It's not going to be for anyone else. It's not just mass-produced Halloween store. This is not a Halloween store costume.
Right.
And I told him, I said, I want to look so intimidating when people see it. They don't freak out, but they go,
right.
You hear people take, and that's happened in churches when I've walked out. I hear some people just, and when I start talking, of course, I've got that voice modulator that changes the sound of the voice.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I'm looking for the shock and awe value. And he goes, I can do it. And he sent me the proofs of a prototype that he was working on. He goes, I think this is what you're looking for. I said, that's exactly what I kind of imagined or
right.
envisioned. And so we're taking steps to work toward that.
Okay.
A lot of fundraising, but in ministry, that's constant.
Right.
There's always going to be some kind of fundraising. I don't care what ministry you do. If you have a podcast, you've got to raise money for that. If you've got a missions trip, you're going to have to raise money for that. It's an ongoing thing to raise money to be able to do what we do. I'm still going to preach and teach. I'm still going to go and do conferences, men's conferences, I think I've got one coming up next spring. I believe it's in New Orleans. I've got to contact the pastor to make sure that that's still on track. But aside from just I'd say, just standard teaching and preaching, the drama over the years we have seen since we put it back into production, and it's, I don't want to go down the road of taking it out of play for a couple of years, but we've seen probably 80,000 people come to Christ, and about 10,000 of those, believe it or not, have been in the prison system in the Southeast, in 5 different states in the Southeast. We can't go in, with a group of people and do the production because we use people in the churches as actors. Mm-hmm. We trained them, but we took one of the nights that we did it. It was recorded and sent it to the chaplains. Mm-hmm. The chaplains had contacted me. One called me from a prison in Kentucky, and she says, "Can I get another copy of that?" I said, "Sure." She goes, "I don't know what happened to the other copy, but I've had," and the chaplain, she gave me the number of inmates that had gotten saved. She's a chaplain over a women's prison and a men's prison. So she may have left it at the other prison, at the other facility, but I sent her another one. There were hundreds in between these 2 facilities that had given their lives to Christ, because it's not just a cute little production. This is in your face. It causes you to get, am I making the right decision? Am I doing what I'm supposed to do? Yes, I can be forgiven. Everything leads to forgiveness in our production. It doesn't lead to condemnation. Everything that we have done, it always leads to redemption and forgiveness. There was a lady here in Georgia. I don't want to go too long, but this is, I'm going to give you 3 quick stories. A lady in Albany, Georgia. I'd say here. I'm in Tennessee now, but she's a church secretary. She's probably 41, 42 at that time, sobbing. There's a part of the drama where a girl dies after a botched abortion. Yes, they still happen. Abortions still happen. I don't care what laws change. People are going to do what they want to do.
Right.
And there are thousands of girls and women that die every year from an abortion complications.
Wow.
And that's what we highlight in that this can happen. And it does happen. And she said to me, I had an abortion 18 years ago, and I didn't realize I would see my baby again. And she goes, for the first time, I feel forgiven and I feel peace. And we were in Louisiana. A girl saw it in one of the nights, and I remember she was, you could see the bump. Of course, they call it the baby bump. You could see the little bit of a bump. And she said, along with the pastor and his wife, she said, "I changed my mind. I was scheduled tomorrow to have an abortion. My mother scheduled it. I'm not going." And she didn't. And we got a phone call from the mother the next day, and she cussed me out. It was on the speakerphone, and the pastor's going, "Oh God, oh God, oh God." I said, "Mark, okay." She goes, "I'm going to sue you." I said, "Good luck, lady. I've got something that you don't have." I said, "I have a really good lawyer." And I said, "When I hang up this phone, I'm calling him. So go ahead." Click. And the pastor's still going, "Oh God, oh God." I said, "She's bluffing." I said, "I'm not." I had Jay Succulo on retainer at that time. And his son Logan lives about 20 miles from me. So,
one of my friends that I've done interviews with, Joel Thornton. He used to work for Jay Sekulow.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know Joel.
Mm-hmm.
He's from Rome, Georgia.
I probably have met him, but Joel and Logan and I were laughing about that. He goes, "Yeah, my dad would fight anything. Still will." And he was on with our ministry at that time. We had him on retainer.
Okay.
And another one that happened. I went back to that church a year later, and this girl comes up to me with a young man in an army uniform, and she said, "Do you remember me?" I said, "No, not really," because completely different. She looks completely different. She said, "This is my husband, and this is the little boy that I decided not to abort. He was a year old." And Navarre, Florida. Navarre is between Pensacola and Fort Walton Beach. Same thing happened. Girl said, only we didn't get a phone call from a nasty phone call from the mother, but she said, "I've changed my mind." And a year later, I go back to the same church. She says, "Do you remember me?" I said, "No." I said, "But I got a feeling you were the girl that was," she goes, "Yeah." And she had a little girl, beautiful little girl. And so we've seen this time after time. It's making an impact in people's lives. We are going to go after 1 million souls in 5 years.
Okay.
There's nobody going to stop me. Nobody's going to stop our ministry. We're going to go for it. We have a mandate to go after.
When's the launch date for that? When do you say?
It's January of 2023.
Okay, so you're starting in January 2023, and you're going to go for how many years, you said? Or just going to go?
5 years.
5 years. So
five
so
years.
That'll be 2028. Okay, cool.
And by then, I will be nearly 100 years old. I will be 6.
Hey, don't claim that because we're the same age, except you're a couple months older than me. I'm not going to be 100 in 5 years.
No, I'm going to be 65. I'll be 65.
Yeah.
I take care of myself.
Right.
People say, I've talked to a few people that I'm very close to, said, "Are you sure you're going to be able to take this physically?" I said, "I can run circles around you right now. You put those boots on me, I'll still run circles around you." I've experienced it over the years. I've heard ministers when I was young in ministry said I've gone to a platform feeling like I was going to die, that had the flu. And when I walk onto the platform, it's like I didn't feel any walk off the platform, take me back to my hotel. I had that happen one time in Iowa. I had a migraine so bad. Even sounds I was about to throw up. And I had one of the guys on strike force. I said, "Could you please do me a favor? Give me a handful of Advil, a Gatorade, and a chicken sandwich from wherever." I said, "Because I got to keep this down." And I'm laying on the couch in the pastor's office. And they came in and said, "Jerry, are you going to be able?" I said, "Just help me stand up." And I already had my uniform on, and I was ready. And as soon as the introduction music hit, I made it to the platform. 2-hour program that night. I felt fantastic. Walked off the platform, get me to the hotel. If you've never had a migraine, then you probably don't know what it's like.
I know people have had them. I've never had one, but they're painful.
They're debilitating, and thank God I've not had one in years. But I was laughing. Didn't mean to get on a rabbit trail, but I was laughing with him. I said, "There's not anything on this planet that's going to stop me from doing what God's called me to do."
Right.
And I'm still going to go after it. And if you're somebody listening and you want us to come to your church, or you want us to contact your pastor, I'm sure Kevin has all our contact information. He'll put it on there, and we'll be, we don't discriminate.
Right.
And I will make this sales pitch. We are super affordable.
Hmm.
There's other ministries that do productions, and I'm not running them down. That the churches that spent thousands. We don't do that. We keep the church's budget in mind, and we come in to make a major impact, and then do it. I don't like using the word on the cheap, but we do it economically,
Right.
to where you can focus on the follow-up. And, that's, Kevin, that's, what we're doing.
Okay.
Location really doesn't mean a lot. I'm probably 30 minutes from the Nashville airport,
Okay.
which was a requirement for me moving anywhere. I said I have to be near a major airport
Mm-hmm.
because of what I do. But we're going to go with the mandate of what God's given us.
Mm. Okay, that is cool. A couple things I want to talk about quickly before we close here.
Mhm.
You were talking about Zig Ziglar earlier. If I remember right, his son was at our TV station doing some speaking at like a little event that we had at the TV station. If I remember right, it was Zig Ziglar, because I remember, I think it was him. But where can people? I know you've already said on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter. You on TikTok yet?
No, and I
not
won't
yet.
be.
You won't be, yeah, yeah.
No,
You won't.
no.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Too many concerns.
Yeah,
too many
I
concerns.
I can understand that. Facebook,
Uh,
YouTube, Instagram,
Facebook,
Twitter.
Instagram, and Twitter. Instagram is just it's Dr. Jerry G. West.
Okay.
That has been a nickname of mine for decades. I have a master's degree in ministry, and it's a long-handled term, but and it's basically it's master's in divinity.
Okay.
Is basically what it is. I have a doctorate. I could go for it, but at this age, why bother?
Right. Yeah. So those are the places, and they'll find them in the show notes, and you'll actually just text me exactly anything that you want in the show notes, and I'll put them there so people, and I'll put lower thirds and stuff like that. I'll do that on the editing, so that way it's available. So, and then you talked about your tours will start after January of next year, or 2023. So that'd be cool. So also I have a new thing that I've created. It's a lot of people that do podcasts and YouTube videos, they have Patreons, and I was going to go that route, and I says, it's a lot of work because you have to give them something to deserve to be a patron, spend $20 a month or whatever. So I came up with something almost the same thing, but it's contributor. A contributor is somebody like, hey, Jerry says, hey, Kevin's doing a great job, and I really believe him, and here, I'm going to give him $5. That's a contributor, somebody that contributes a couple dollars here or there. The second thing is I'm going to have sponsors, and sponsors would be when I introduce, when I do this show, I can, say, oh yeah, today's show is sponsored by Jerry West Ministries, or whatever what a person wants, or like it could be a name, it could be a business. And I said, I like to thank them for sponsoring this show, So they give it like $25, $50, $100, whatever. And then a super sponsor is one that does it for a few months. So, and basically I'm the only advertising, it's until you get thousands and thousands of people watching you, it's hard to get, people to sponsor, or not sponsor, but pay for advertising. But
Exactly.
people, that they'll do it for, they'll do it because they know you, and just give them a little shout out, give them a little. So I'll do that for, free. Sometimes I do it for free. Sometimes I charge people. But, some people that I've developed a relationship with says, God says, plant that seed. Okay. Talk to Jerry, get all the information on this tour that he's doing, and get it, and then put it out there as a sponsor for the show. Pick a show, and this show is going to be sponsored by you. So I'll get that information from you, and I won't charge you anything. I'll just do it because I believe if you plan into my ministry, I plan into yours, whether it's just vocally or financially. Right. I'm planting a seed. So, and that's what the Lord, wants me to do. So we'll do that. In closing, as I said, you're an evangelist, and you can never leave an opportunity, let people just sitting in the audience without leading them to Christ. So I want to give you the opportunity. It could be dealing with what we talked about in the first part of this story about drugs and alcohol, or it could be a decision to do something for God and go out there and win people for Christ, and whatever the Lord might be putting on your heart right now to pray for. But pray for somebody that might be listening, and God has an answer for their prayer. So through your prayer. So
Sure.
Go ahead.
Well, if you're listening, and you feel like God's put a call on your life, I'm trying to break it down to get rid of the churchanese. Believe me, I grew up listening to it.
Right.
We call it churchanese or Christianese.
Mm.
Let's just take all that away. You really feel like in your heart of hearts that God has said, this is what I want you to do. Then I want you to do three things. One, pray and ask God for direction. He'll give it to you. Two, seek wise counsel. Don't talk to your friends. They may not understand. They'll even try to talk you out of it.
Mm.
And three, sit down with a pastor. And I'm going to be honest with you. I remember when I told a pastor 35 years ago, well, 34, almost 34, I said, I'm going to be in full-time ministry in less than 2 years. He sat back and laughed at me. Now, most people would have gotten up and said, you know what? Well, I feel really discouraged now. I just looked at him and I laughed back. I said, you laugh now.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see I said, we'll see what happens. Year and a half. It was less than a year and a half later. I was traveling the world in ministry.
Wow.
I did call him up. I'll be honest with you. I did call him up. Not to rub his face in. I said, just be careful how you discourage people.
Right.
And I told him that. I said, be careful how you discourage people because you are not the qualifier.
Right.
God is.
Amen.
Moses was a stutterer. David was a failure of a father, but yet God says he's a man after my own heart because when he was confronted with his sin, he was quick to repent.
Mm.
Peter, rough around the edges, but you look at, I could go through all the people who were failures in the Bible. So you're among good company. If your pastor discourages you, take that as encouragement.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to give you a great example. I have a Facebook friend. Actually, I know her. We're acquaintances. We're not really good friends. Her husband is one of the lead guitarists for the band Stryper.
Okay.
His wife has a ministry that is dedicated to getting girls out of prostitution, which is basically another form of sex trafficking.
Right.
She has a ministry. I guarantee you there were pastors who did not like it and people who did not like it. She doesn't care. She says, God told me to do it, and she's still doing it. So if people discourage you, take it as an encouragement. I'm 60 years old. I don't look it. I don't have one gray hair on my head because I shaved it all off. But I don't listen to the critics.
Right.
A critic can't produce. That's why they're a critic. I listen to the people who encourage me. And some of these people I may never meet on this side of eternity, but they don't know how much they have encouraged me to keep doing. If it had not been for that radio program on Sirius XM on that day in July, I probably would have missed the voice of God.
Mm.
But because of something he said, hit me right where I needed to be hit.
Right.
In my moment of discouragement, and you're going to be discouraged. 34, almost 34 years in ministry, I still get discouraged. it's going to happen. But the key is to keep pushing, keep going. If God's put a call on your life, and maybe you're one of those that's just listening by happenstance, and you're saying, well, what is this God, this Jesus stuff? It's very simple. You can go, you can find the bones of Muhammad, the bones of Buddha, the bones of Confucius, and the bones of all these other gods with a little g, but there is a grave that has been empty for over almost 2,400 years. It's been empty. And it's the grave of Jesus Christ, because he didn't need it. It was a borrowed tomb.
Right.
Thanks for the loaner, but I'm not going to need it. I'm out of here. And now he sits at the right hand of the Father. God is not some bald-headed old man that wants you, that can't wait to hit you when you screw up. Because I don't know what God you grew up hearing about. I heard about that God too. And as I got older, I realized my past is my past. And if I screw up today, I say, God, forgive me. And there's no crawling on my knees to pay penance. I keep moving forward. So I'm going to pray for these two groups of people. One, you want to receive Jesus as your Lord and Savior. It's real simple. So, Lord, I've made a mess of my life. I don't know what else to do but to say, forgive me. And help me to live for you every day. I'm going to mess up, but you're a loving Father, and you're going to forgive me. And today I choose to live my life for you. Now, for the others that you feel like God's put a call on your life, Lord, put the right people in their path. Put the people in their path that will help them, that will encourage them, that will not just be their cheerleader, but to be a support. Hey, you can do it. You're looking good, and you're going to make it. There is nothing that can stop you. So don't stop. Keep going. Press on, and you will make it. And as my old mentor would say, Zig Ziglar, and he closed his seminars, and I still have the book that he wrote it in. I'll see you at the top.
Amen.
And that's my encouragement for you today. Aim for the top, and don't settle for second best. And I hope this brings encouragement to you.
Right. That is cool. Amen about that. Well, everybody, you have been listening to the Millennium Beat with your host, Kevin James. I am glad that you're here. I am had on the phone with me, Jerry West. Jerry, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure, and look forward to hopefully we can do this again soon.
Yeah, I hope that we will do it in person sometime this year. We'll check our schedules out, and I'm going to head to Nashville. But everybody, thanks for listening again, and we'll see you guys next week. Take care, and God bless. This has been a Millennium Beat production. Views and opinions of the guest are not always the views and opinions of the Millennium Beat. I want to introduce you to a new program we are starting in 2023. It's a program where people can contribute, sponsor, or become a super sponsor to help support what we do at the Millennium Beat. We are also developing a partner program to help reach our goals of reaching people. More information will be on our website, where you can fill out a form to become a sponsor or partner and make payments directly to us from our website.